Hi everybody, Jo here again. Thanks so much for popping in. Now, on the calendar, I've got to September. Now, I'm going off the inspiration Tracy's given us in the little design. So each calendar page has a printed design at the base. And I'm using that as part of my inspiration. So all I've done is I've added a little bit of ink to mine there, just so that when it's finished, it will all blend together and we'll have that lovely cohesive page. And I'm going to start off with the snail house. And I'm going to use Portobello for the stamping for this. And again, so I'm going to ink it up. And then I'm just going to stamp, and I'm stamping off centre just because for me, if I try and stamp central and it's not perfectly central, do you know what? It messes with my head. So, and again, let that ink soak in. Just don't be in a rush to lift it up too quickly. And then just going to, there we go. Now, I've also stamped and made myself a little mask look. So to do that, we have these fabulous masking sheets. You have a tissue side, and this plastic is just a carrier sheet. So you stamp on the tissue. I always give it a blot and then cut out the design. And then peel off my tissue. I'm just going to place that. And as you can see, I left this bit here. I'm just masking off the actual house, the shell part. And just place it on. Now, I also want a little bit of a mask along the bottom. So what I'm going to do is get myself some of my Lavinia masking tape and just sort of tear. And I just want to carry on that little bit just to give myself a bit of a, almost like a grassy edge here. So I'll carry on and just put that there. And then it just means I can stamp some more lovely mushrooms behind. And so for this, I've gone for the thistle cap mushrooms. And there's a large and a small with these. Oh, no. Did you see that? Well, do you know what? I'm going to be honest. I've been very clumsy today. I'm going to carry on and see if we can get round this. And if we don't in the end, I'm going to glue this in because these things happen. So, and I know you're all going to look and go, Jo, because do you know what? I can't believe that happened. But let's see. It was bound to happen at some time, wasn't it? So, I'm going to stamp. And you see, if something like that happens, you just have to think, right, it's happened. Don't let it upset the rest of what I'm going to do. And you just have to take a deep breath and carry on. And maybe, little top tip, don't put your ink pad over your finished design. Maybe that's where I've gone wrong. But let's see. Because do you know what? It can happen to any of us. So let's see if we can get round it. Typical though, isn't it? I put the copy of paper here and I look after these bits. Do you know? I knew something like that would happen today. Do you ever have days like that? You know, where you think, oh, I just need a good day. Now, because we've stamped, and relax, because we've masked off the lovely house here, we can stamp look and it will look like it's behind. So what I'm thinking is if we come in with the smaller one now, and we just add, and I'm just using this copy paper because I've got a bit of a gap there, you know, and I don't want to go stamping there. Mind you, let's face it today. So we've got a few of the smaller ones. And again, it's nice to have some second generation ones. And then the other thing I'm going to do is add, we've actually got the taller moss caps. And I want to stamp these just at either side. And I want the larger one and the smaller one almost to frame the design. So what I'm going to do is just swap them round on this side. This is all with the Portobello again, so it just builds up that shape. And then at the bottom, Trace has used our lovely moss cap cluster. Now, I want these to look behind, but I don't want to have to mask these. So another way of making things look in the distance is to use a lighter colour. So if we go for Sand Dune, and we just add a little bit of stamping with Sand Dune. So you see how that looks like it's behind, just because it's a lighter colour. Well, I'll tell you what, this calendar is certainly going to be original, isn't it? With added extra ink pad. Right, so that's all that stamping done for the minute. So what we're going to do now is add the moon. Now, originally, I had the moon here. Now, is that going to take your eye too much to that? So maybe I'll move the moon over here and then we can add some more colour over here. That's what I'm thinking anyway. And what I'm going to do is just turn the calendar around, just because I always think it's better to start when you're doing the moon mask upside down. And I'm going to come in with Sahara. And I've got my lovely stencil brush, and so blend in the lid, get in the habit of blending in the lid. And with this, because we've got that gentle colour, we don't need to colour all our mushrooms. Look, you can if you want, but I'm just going to focus on the lovely house, the snail house. So I can actually take the ink, so gently, just take the ink over all our lovely mushrooms, look. And again, start where your moon mask is. And then as you've got less ink, we'll just lift that off and I'll just turn it round. So what I'm going to do now is, as I've got less ink on my brush, I just want to come in and then almost get that ink to blend into the background where it's fainter. So if I want some more colour here, look, blend in the lid, just get in that habit of blending in the lid. And then where I want the darker ink, so we'll come in here next to the lovely snail house and at the base, look. And then we'll add some more ink. And then once we've got less ink on the brush, we'll just fade it up here to nothing. And then once I added that colour, I was going to bring in another tone and automatically I would go for brown. And I just thought I don't want to use brown. So I decided to go for confetti. Now, it's not a normal combination I would use. And to be honest, I didn't know how it would work. But I was really pleased the way it did work. So again, always blend in the lid. And I'm just going to start here over where we've got the lovely mushrooms and gently, so hold the metal bit, but it's a very gentle, and just come down. And just over where we've got the mushrooms, I'm going to add that lovely pinky tone. So again, I'm inking up, blending in the lid, and I'll start here. Now this time, I'm going to bring it right across the moon. I just want those lovely pinky, like a pink cloud. And it's up to you how much you add. And look how we've got that lovely pink cloud right across the moon. Now, I'm thinking we might just stamp another mushroom there, you know. So if this happens, complete the design or get the design as you would, but then I'm just looking, thinking, maybe another cluster of those in the background. We can try, can't we? Let's see. So if I go for the lighter colour again, the sand dune. Let's just see. Well, it's not made it disappear, has it? But we're working on it. I'm just going to add a little bit more Sahara. And then a little bit more right. So what we've done is added that background. So now's the time we can take off the masking tape. Now again, it's low tack, so it'll just peel off. If you were worried, just pop your heat tool on it. And also I can take off my mask, look. There we go. And I tend to keep mine on the acetate. So I've got it with the stamp whenever I need to use it. What we're going to do now is look at this area here. And I just want to add a little bit more colour here. So what I'm going to do for that is come in with my pastel pencils. And I'm just going to go for a dark brown and a light brown. And I'm just going to come in and add a little bit of shading. And I love that shape that we've been given. Look, I'm just going to follow that shape. And again, the moon's there. So I'll sort of get shading in that direction, won't I? And again there, that follows nicely. And this will sort of be here. And this I just want to ground the design and almost fade away to nothing. And just give that nice shape. So I'm just going to give it a little blend. Again, I don't need to use a spray fixative because I've not used very much. And just smudging it'll just fix it enough. And we are going to add a little bit more stamping on there. So that just adds for that little bit. But I want to add some colour now. And I've got my Mondeluz pencils and start with the lovely house. And I thought I'd bring those pink tones. Now again, Tracy's drawn this, so she's actually drawn where you need the darkest of the colour. And at the edge here where it's going to be light, I'm not going to colour that bit because I'm almost going to let the lack of colour be the highlight. So again, I'm just going to go round in a spiral, put myself in a trance. Go all the way around, look. Now, as I say, you could do this any colour. Nice to use a different colour for a change. And just on the edge here, look, going to bring in some of that pink. But I'm leaving that white area, and you see how it gives you that lovely highlight. But just for a little bit more depth, look, I'm going to come in on these middle bits with the red. Just round that, and can you see how that makes it just pop even more? Just adding that little, if you haven't got a red, brown works very well. Then with the brown, I'm just going to add some brown around the door here. And then also just on the base of the pebbles here. And again, I am going to add a little bit of white highlight at the top, but I find if I leave it white anyway, that helps. Because you've almost got the automatic highlight there, haven't you? So, white gel pen. And I'm just going to, on my door here, where the steps are. And like I say, on these stones, where I've left it white, I can just come in with my gel pen and add a little bit more. Now also, if you want, you can add some on your mushrooms. So again, depending where the moon is, just add a couple of highlights. Now, you could leave the design like that, but if you look at the one that traces the inspiration at the bottom, there's that beautiful leaf stamp. So this is the lovely river leaves. Now again, we've got so many of these gorgeous little mini leaves. And for this, I'm going to use 3 colours. And often, you know, if you haven't got a lot of stamps, you can use the same stamp, but in different colours. If we look at the finished one here, look, it just gives that nice, and again, I think when the leaves change colour, and it just gives you sort of more variety. So I'm going to start with Charming Pink. And I'm just going to add, and if you're using the same stamp, try and remember to alternate the angle that you're stamping. So again, we'll add some first and second generation, just to give us a little bit. We'll add just another one here. And I'm just following that shape. So then, quick clean of my stamp, and I'll come in with Sand Dune. So I'm going for the lighter colour now. And this way I can fill in the background. If I want to take it any higher, look, if there's any spaces, just add a little bit of atmosphere in the background. And again, just alternate that angle. And this is a nice light colour. So again, I think we'll have a couple just as though they're coming down here. And again, your eye will follow that down. So I think that's enough with that. So Portobello, and that's the main colour that we've used for the design. So if I just add, and you see how now we've got different layers. This will come to the front and it will push the sand dune to the back. And I'm just going to add a couple of falling leaves, you know where. And if I don't like this when it's finished, as I say, I've got my one that I can put over the top. But I'm just thinking, let's go, just add a couple in pink. Just to make it look like it is actually part of the design. Right, where have we got? So I can see that there and there. Right, so I need to tie these together so it looks like it's supposed to be here. And I think the way to do that is have a light pink there. Clean my stamp. I don't want to overdo it. If I overdo it, it's going to look too definitely wrong. But if I'm careful and get away with it. So I'm going for the lighter colour now. I don't want to just have it here. If I bring some over here, look, and make your eye fall this way. Maybe if I take it up into the September so it's part of the design and make it look like you were supposed to see. Right, one more here. I don't want to add too many because it will overcook it. Right. Let's give that a blot and see. Right, how we're looking. So, apart from that bit there, so I can still see that line there. But I think we've certainly got away with the design, but it needs something here. So what I'm wondering is, with my white pastel pencil, can we introduce a little bit of morning mist? Just to lighten this area here. And we'll just bring it across where we've got, look. Because again, if we just add it in one area, so we need to make it look like it was part of the design. Just a little bit of mist down here. And I just think that lightens this area. Lovely. Just going to blend that a bit more. Right, I think we might get away with this. The closest I've got to having a pizza, ladies and gents. So, a couple of little things I want to do. And I'm going to take that off there now. And I'm just going to add some water splats. And again, this will just help distract. So remember, this will faux bleach the background ink. And also, I'm going to come in with my lovely Posca. So I'm going to give those a bit of a dab. And then come in, and this is, as you know, my favourite, the yellow sparkly Posca. And again, we'll add that on top, look. And follow the lines here. And I'm directing it, so this is the bit I'm just tapping, and I'm only tapping, and that way I can direct it, look, around the snail house. So I can add a little bit below here, little bit below, and then if I just move this so you can see, I want to just follow the yellow. And if I just turn my calendar this way, where I've added the colour at the base, just going to add some lovely Posca splats. So that follows the design all the way. But we've still managed, let's pop the lid on that. I'll move this out. So we've actually still managed to get a little bit of white space here, here. And if you look at the hole at the base, we've still got our lovely dates here, but the eye follows. So, very lastly, I'm just, because I want to introduce a little bit more white. And what you find is that'll just detract away from the leaves. Just going over that white. And then the very last thing, one of my lovely sentiment stickers. Now I could put gently does it. I need really, there's one Butterfingers, I think. To be fair, Tracy, I think we need Butterfingers. But we haven't got one, have we? So instead we'll have Enjoy the Journey, because do you know what? It just shows if that happens, you can still enjoy the journey. And you know what? I'm going to put that right over here where we dropped. Well, I dropped. Did you notice I said the royal we? Where we where I dropped that ink pad. It's our focal point because we've enjoyed the journey. So thanks for being with me. Thanks for holding your breath with me and looking after me. I actually think I'm going to leave that because it is what it is, and that's what happens. And you know what? What goes on at Craft Club stays at Craft Club. So you won't tell anybody, will you? And there's... Oh, I forgot my little mushroom stickers. I nearly forgot. See, I was so distracted. On my original, I've put some lovely... So, let me have a look. I've got a couple of sheets of these on the go at once. So, I'm going to add... that one there. I want to add one of the red ones. I love the red ones. So funny. What am I like? Thinking I have a red one at this side. It's nice to actually just use different things. Look at that. And that brings the colour together. We need another one over here. Right. Shall I go for a total different one? Shall I go for... Oh, see, I'm no good with choices, am I? Right, I'm going to go for this one. I like this one. Maybe I'll put this one here. I was going to say, they're very good, you know. If you need to hide something, you could possibly use these, but I don't think there's a big enough one for a huge ink splat, is there? Oh, that looks nice there, just carrying that colour. So, there we have it. I might just call this video the Whoops video. So, I hope you enjoy creating September. Please do share your makes on our social media channels. And you know what? I'm off for a coffee because I feel I need one. You take care, everybody. Thanks as always. And I'll see you again tomorrow after I lie down in a darkened room. Love and hugs from me. Bye for now.